Welcome back, everybody. So we got a big day coming up. It's Monday night, like I think it's about 8:30 now, and we got a whole table of TBM brakes to put on this thing. I had a last minute, we'll call it a trip, but I had to drive from New York, upstate, 4 hours down to Long Island Wednesday night, and then from there leave Wednesday night and drive to Tampa, Florida. I have some things I got to take care of there. We'll see what transpires from that. But while I'm in Florida, we're stopping at EKR Racing to pick up the hood and front bumper for the twin turbo S10. So we're going to try and kill 3 birds, not 1, not 2, 3 birds with 1 stone. I've got a long week ahead of me. So let's get going on these brakes. See what we can get done tonight. Hopefully finish it up tomorrow because I only got 2 days this week. All right, first things first. Here's our new hub. We got to put bearings and everything in it. These little your caps goes right on like that. These things don't weigh anything. So friggin' nice how light all this is. And look how pretty. This is just the most beautiful stuff. So, according to instructions, first thing we got to do is we got our wheel studs, 10-point, ½ inch. We got to pop all those in, some red Loctite. That's step number 1. So we'll get popping on that real quick. Put some Loctite here on the back of the thread where it'll be engaging. Maybe. Is my Loctite no good? What's going on here? Well, that's tragic. Let's see here. Hang on. Let's see what we got going on. Oh, there we go. Apparently this is a new one. Oh, now she's flowing. Little tip, if you're using the liquid thread locker, if you just dabble it on the thread and instead of trying to get it to go around the threads, you just blow on it, it'll just go right around the threads. It's a great thing. So get that bolt started, just snug it up, then we'll torque them down afterwards. It's pouring again outside, and it's supposed to drop into the 30s again after it was sunny and 70 for a couple days. Gotta love northeast weather. This has been the craziest year for weather. But I'll tell you what, I'm not looking forward to the drive that's gonna take 24 hours or so, but I am looking forward to sunny and 80 degrees that it's supposed to be in Tampa, Florida. Hopefully the meetings go well. I can get over and pick up my hood and my bumper for the S10. Save me on shipping costs. I also like networking with, whenever I get the chance, being a small business owner myself, I love to be able to network with the people that make parts that I use, put a face to the name type of deal. It always makes me happy. 1 more to go on this hub, just like that. Next one. So let's have a conversation. I think I've got a name picked out for the S10, and we're gonna paint it white for now. I was kind of up in the air about that, doing a crazy color for once, but I think I love white vehicles, so I think we're gonna do it white for a couple reasons. One, the black frame, black accessories, all that ties together really nice, but white is a very clean slate to start with, and it shows if we do decals or if any jumps aboard to sponsor parts of the build, once we prove ourselves, white's very good to showcase things. And the flip side of that is if I ever want to vinyl wrap it a color, white's easy. It's just a simple platform to go over or two-tone. So it's going to be white for now. that's what we're gonna do after we get everything prepped. We're gonna paint it white. With that said, what should we name it? I'm pretty sure I got a name picked out. I'm not telling you yet. But in the comments, leave your thoughts. What's your guess? 60 foot-pound is what we're going for here. Now, I don't know if I'll be able to get this at the moment, holding it to that torque spec. Absolutely not. So, how am I going to do this? Idea. That works. I'm just going to take and slide that over the bar so it holds the wheel stud. And I got just enough grip to get on it. Next up, we're going to bolt the rotor on. Now, you got these grade 8 bolts for the rotor. And the rotor, which is right here. Hang on, let me open this. I run these brakes on the front of my Trailblazer Kong. And I tell you what, it's almost unbelievable that these little tiny things can stop my 140 mile an hour, 5,000 pound truck without any issue. Now, let's see here. Flat side of the rotor, face down, flat side of rotor hub. So on these rotors, I don't know if you guys can see, so this side has a bevel to it and this side's flat. So the flat side, if you put the rotor facing down, so your wheel studs are pointed down, that rotor right on there, and then you got these grade 8 bolts and washers. Now you have to Loctite these, but you can't do that until you mount everything on the truck and see if you got to shim anything around. It says right here, do not Loctite or torque bolts until proper fitment is achieved. So we're just gonna slam them on there for now, snug them up, and then we'll take it back apart later. Do you see it? All right, now that we got both of these assembled, we got our rotors bolted on but not torqued down, and we have our wheel studs Loctited and torqued down. Now there's 2 bearings that go in this hub. You got a little guy that goes in the end on the outside portion. You got a bigger bearing that goes in the backside, and then a seal. Oh, we got to pack these, which means we're getting dirty. Grease time. Hopefully the grease I have is going to work for this, because I forgot to go and buy more, so I ended up having some in my cabinet. So we are going to be using Amsoil High Viscosity Lithium Complex Synthetic Grease. Industrial, commercial, and heavy equipment. This stuff. So let's pack them up. Look at that. It's nice to use a bearing packer for this, but I broke mine and I decided to get this project done, and I had never ordered a replacement. So no bearing packer here. So you grab a glob. If you've never packed a bearing before, the most important thing is make sure it gets in all the cracks, crevices, and wheels. Spinny things. Without the lubrication, you don't get the movement. And then things get hot. So everybody does this a different way. I like to pack it from one side and then pack it from the other side. So we're just taking this, we got a glob in our hand, we're going, work your way all the way around that bearing. So that side's all packed good, and then pack this side. This side is where you get the most grease in. So make sure you pack that side really good. And when you think you have enough, put more in, because it just keeps absorbing it. We're gonna do both bearings right away. I'll just set it down on the cardboard box. This way we know it's done, and then I can take this pair of gloves off. It's a messy process and it takes a little while. You'll probably get fast forwarded through this, because otherwise this will be a 20-minute video on how to pack a bearing. So we'll try to keep it around 30 minutes. It's another good question for you guys. How long are the videos that you like to watch? Because let's face it, we're packing hours of content every single video. And I had a couple videos go to 50 minutes, but I feel like they were rather informative. And I also had the majority of the videos, I only got, I think, 10 out right now, but the most of them are 30 minutes long. Do you rather sit and plan to watch? For me, I like it both ways. I love Vice Grip Garage. Derek's such an awesome dude, and I've learned actually a lot from watching his videos. I didn't have nobody teach me this stuff, so I actually learned a lot from some of these guys on YouTube. Taylor Ray and Derek, they're very entertaining and very knowledgeable. If you're coming here for knowledge, I don't know if I'm your guide, because I'm just figuring this out as I go. But we do some cool shit around here. So, tell you what, that's one thing that's very difficult. Tendency to have a pirate's mouth and not swearing every other word on a video. It's something that I have to be cautious of. So if you hear one once in a while, don't judge me. That bearing, if you look, you can see it's pushing out all those rollers. You can see it as you pack that bearing, it pushes through and you'll see it start coming out. That's when you got it packed good. And then after that, just put a little extra around that thing. Some on the inside, some on the outside, and then plop it in the hole. Make sure it's nice and even. That's one. Now we're gonna do this one. All right, we got our seal now. It can only go in one way. See that high lip? That's the top. Now, I don't have a socket big enough to go on there. If you get a piece of, I forgot what size, 2.5 inch or 2 inch, something, PVC, that usually works pretty good. So what we're gonna do instead is I have a little piece of poplar pine here, and we're just gonna very lightly tap it into place. Stay. There we go. See what I'm doing here? Hello, you see me? Now, the spindles, if you're putting these on your stock spindles, you gotta either get new hardware, which I would recommend, at least, or if you're running aftermarket spindles like these beautiful RZ units, they come with a Newcastle nut and a washer. And then we are going to simply slide this over like so, that, and we still got grease on our fingers. That outer bearing just sits in there. Don't mind my armpit, I'm wiping off my fingers. So that bearing just sits there for right now till we put these on. That washer actually is what keeps that bearing in place. So you got to slide it on and kind of thumbs in there. So if you don't like getting dirty, you can put another pair of gloves on. But, so anyways, slide that washer on there, slide that nut on there, just like that. And then I gotta look, I think there's a torque spec for that. So I'll check that out. And then these are just like your ball. That castle nut has a cotter pin that drops in. But just work that around a couple times. Look how nice that is. And once that gets all seated in there and all that grease gets moving around, these things spin so easy. You put the weight of the tire on there and you just flip it with one finger and it just, like a turbo wheel, it just keeps going. Boom. Beautiful. Do the other side. I'll show you that one. Rinse and repeat. Well, something interesting just happened. So, let me show you the instructions here. We'll start at, right? Beginning's good. So, you put the wheel studs in, correct, we did that. You put them in, Loctited them, torqued them. Then it says install the rotor, right? Then it says install the bearing. Then it says install the bracket. Well, install, here. Install pack inner bearing and grease and insert onto the hub. Install supply rear sealed. I messed up. Don't make the same mistake I did. Being that I read this as insert into back of hub, I inserted the hub onto the spindle. So, can't do that. Where is it? So here's your two brackets. These are your caliper mounting brackets. And like an idiot, like I said, I'm figuring this out as I go. Don't judge me. I'm a retard. That goes on there, right? And you can't put the bolt in now. So, I'm glad I didn't torque the hubs down yet, because we got to take this back off. So that's simple. We'll just take the castle nut off and slide the hub with the washer and the bearings and everything right off of there. We got to mount these brackets first. Do the brackets first. Live and learn. Hopefully we won't make the same mistake again. So I'm going to take those both back off the truck. But hey, take a look at those things. They look good on there. Look really good on there. So I'm going to go pop those off, and then we'll mount these brackets. Okay, that's better. Now you get two of these brackets, obviously, because there's two calipers. They are the exact same bracket for both sides, not side specific. So this goes on here like so, and we just tighten those down. They don't say to use Loctite on these, so we're just going to bolt them on. It happens. What are you gonna do? I don't know what to tell you guys. It's not a perfect world. It would be nice if we never made mistakes, though. Wouldn't that be great? Okay, got that one snugged up. In this kit too, you see there's 4 shorter bolts and 4 of these longer bolts. We already used 2 of them. These shorter bolts are actually for mounting the caliper itself to this bracket in these holes. So got to use the longer ones to mount the bracket. No, it's the right size. No wiggle room in there. So these get torqued to 37 foot-pounds. That's 35, 36, 37. Oh, okay. 37 foot-pounds. Shout out to Patriot Pro Tools. Matco, baby. So I ain't gonna lie. I'm on a budget, and when you're starting out, you got to use some cheaper tools. So I have a drawer full of like Harbor Freight and Tecton. If you guys haven't used Tecton tools and you're starting out and you're on a really strict budget, great place to gather tools. But when you can afford it, I love Matco stuff. Highly recommend, especially when you're getting important tools. Don't cheap out on a torque wrench. Do not do it. One click, 2 clicks. Boom. Get the other side real quick. We're getting there. We're getting there. You see me? I'm really not good at this whole camera thing. I'm learning though, guys. I'm learning. Any pro tips, feel free to leave them in the comments. I am always up for some constructive criticisms. Even if you guys want to be mean, I'm good for that. Helps build character. 1 click, 2 clicks. Would you get out of there? Perfect. Those are on. Now we can put our hubs back on. Don't drop these either, especially when you buy good ones. Don't risk dropping them. Don't put them on the lift arm. I'm gonna get grease on my freaking hands again. I think we got it. Nut up. I still gotta look up the torque spec on this. It's not in the TBM packet, so I'm gonna see if TRZ has a torque spec on theirs, or if they just recommend using factory torque specs. In which case, I got to look up the factory torque specs, because I really don't intend on taking these back off until we need to do some proper work on this thing. Sorry, got grease on my fingers again. Got to reach for my rag. Here's my armpit. Look, am I clean? Cool. All right. I'm gonna go find the torque specs for this. Be back in a sec. Okay, I found the information we were looking for. Apparently it's like 100 foot-pounds of torque. So for right now, we're gonna do that. Once this truck's all together, we're gonna obviously go through the whole entire truck, every nut and bolt, and re-torque everything, but we're gonna set it to 100 foot-pounds. At least we're gonna try. Had to break out the big gun torque wrench. Because the other one I was using only goes to 85 foot-pounds. This guy goes way up there, 300 foot-pounds. I had to buy this one for balancer on my LS engine. There it is, 100 foot-pounds. Go for the second click. Ready for it? Boom. All right, here's where you got to be a little bit more careful. So this is your caliper. Obviously, right? Pretty nice. Bleeder screw, this is where your hose gets hooked up. Bleeder screw always goes on top. If you put this caliper on that side, bleeder screw would be on the bottom. No bueno. So this one goes over here. Now, let's see if I can show you guys this. Sometimes these fit perfect right away. Other times you have to shim them. So if you look in there, it's hard to see on camera, but see how the space between the rotor and the caliper is bigger than it is on that side? So they send a whole bunch of washers. These are the actual thicker ones. They actually send you smaller, thinner ones also. So I'm going to put 2 of the thicker ones on there first, because I think that's what's going to get us close. We're going to try that. These are those 4 shorter bolts I was telling you about, 2 for each side, and you got a lock washer and a regular washer. So we're going to slide that on there like so. And then first we're going to try 2 of these washers. And I'll probably do both at the same time. I want to see how this looks. Let's see if I can drop all of this on the ground. That would be awesome. Come on. Nice. Well, I'm just gonna snug these up by hand first, but I think that is really good. So now, if you look in there, that space is pretty it's so hard to show you guys this stuff on camera. Let's look up here. See how that space is like dead even on both sides? That's what we want. I'm going to snug this down, and we'll throw the set of pads in here quick, and we'll see, because once you put the pads in, you tighten this. This is the retainer clip on TBM brakes. So you pop this little screw out here, and this just slides out. Pads drop in, that goes through the pads, and then you tighten that little screw up. That's how that goes. This little retainer screw that holds the brake pad clip in is, let's see, I got 5/32 here. It seems to fit quite nicely. Just pop that right out. These are our brake pads, these little tiny guys. It's so crazy that these things stop vehicles as well as they do, but they do. Oh, I don't know why I was sliding that in first, but this goes in like so. This goes in like so. And then gotta line that up nice. Get the first pad in there. Second pad in there. Okay, got both sides finished up. Mine actually required, and without fail, the battery died exactly as I started talking. So we got both sides finished up. Both of my calipers actually required 2 of those washers right there to get exact spacing on each side of the brake pad. And then another thing you got to do is make sure when your pad rotor is at its highest, you want that pad, let's see, to be flush with the top of the brake pads, which it is. So you got the high spots and the low spots on the rotor. So you want that high spot on the rotor to be flush with the top of your pads. So this is all shimmed properly, nice even spacing. We torqued these bolts down to 37 foot-pounds and got our lock washers on. So the final piece of the puzzle is this thing of beauty right here. This little cap. I'm right-handed, and trying to do this left-handed is kind of awkward. You ever try to throw a ball with the hand that you're less dominant with? Yeah, it kind of feels like that. Look at that. Boom. Front brakes are on. Front suspension is on. Front steering is on. Coming together. Then we get to work on the back brakes next. So we can hopefully make this thing a roller soon. I really hope the factory wheels will slide on here, but I don't know if they will. I don't want them to hit the caliper because I'm hoping to use the stock wheels, which are sitting over there, as my roller set. One thing we have to do is on those wheels, they're designed for these 1/2-inch studs, and the rear studs on my axles are 5/8. So we got to drill 2 of the wheels out to fit over the studs. But I don't really plan on driving on them. I'm just using them as rollers for now.